Alright, so I'm going to do the first inspection. Basically what I want to do is go through the tractor, see if there's any damages that were done in shipping. Now, since I am installing this vehicle myself, or doing the final installation, and I took it in the crate, my recourse is somewhat limited for little tiny damages, but big stuff obviously is definitely protected. So just going around it real quick. Tiny little scratch right here. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. It's very, very small. I'm gonna live with that. Not a big deal. I can just maybe buff it or touch it up. It's kind of a part of life when you're getting stuff shipped across the ocean, banged around. It's gonna happen, so not something that's gonna keep the tractor from working. Axle looks good. Front cylinder. Wheel studs in the front aren't damaged. That's something that happens quite a bit. Nothing underneath here can see that's been damaged. Fuel filter, or pre-filter I should say. Everything looks good. Side panel, great. There is the different coloring of the two side panels. Not sure what's up with that, but anyway, we'll see. We'll find out. 3-point itch linkage looks really good. Everything's perfect there. No apparent damage on the fenders or anything at all. There is a kind of a weird molding spot. I don't know if you guys can see it in the light there. Nah, I don't know. That's bizarre. Not a big deal, but it is there. This side looks really good. Perfect view of the hydraulic filter. Oops, sorry about that. Perfect view of the hydraulic filter right there. That's great. Got a little sensor there, which would be on this, not that one, on this lever. Which if we go by on this side, so I'm assuming that would be for the start. I'm assuming. We'll get to know a bit later. See the most outward one. Yeah, the most outward one would be the position, the gear position. The second one for the, they're kind of in line, 4x4, oh sorry, the PTO on off, and then the other one being the, if you want this, the mid-mount PTO, or just the rear PTO. So these two guys would be for that. So this guy here is the on-off. It's just the lever, activates the hydraulic clutch back for the PTO. This does have a hydraulic PTO. And then this one here, sorry, that guy, and little rocker shaft there, goes to that switch. Probably lets you know, hey, I'm in PTO's engaged or disengaged or that kind of fun stuff. Diff lock pedal. Interesting way of routing it around. Like I said, I used to work on Kubota many years ago, and I mean, a little bit of changing in one of the things. Okay, so one of the things that really surprises me is that the price of this tractor is pretty much what people were paying for a 24 horsepower tractor back in the early 90s. So this is, you know, just underneath $20,000 Canadian. And that's what people were paying back in the day. So, I mean, if you consider inflation, if you consider everything like that, it's amazing that they can keep the price down. If you look at big tractors, I mean, big tractors, you used to be able to buy a 100 horsepower tractor back in the 90s for, I don't know, 65,000 Canadian on average. Now they're 100,000. So, in order to be competitive, because we're getting a lot of new players in the tractor game, and some of them are garbage, they're just cheap as heck. Some of the stuff has to be kind of made cheaply, if you wish, or economically, if you want to say. So this diff lock pedal, this pivot here, garbage. I mean, it'll work. It'll work for the amount of time that it's supposed to do. Probably won't cause any problems. But I mean, look at that pivot. That is definitely not an over-engineered bracket and pivot system. That's pretty cute. As far as the rest of the linkage, this is all very economical, rattly, just, it works. Got to keep it, you know, a little bit of lubrication on that. But what happens over time is these guys will wear out. This guy will wear out. This guy, everything will get loose. So, and there's no adjustability. So, for example, the brake lever right here. This is a proper rod lever, both anchored, both sides. You got an adjustment on it right here. This is how most of everything on Kubota used to be built. Back in the good old days, I would say. But again, they got to keep the prices in line, and they got to stay competitive, or else they'll stay out of the game. Is there a problem with this? Absolutely not. I mean, it'll work. It'll work perfectly fine. This isn't a commercial machine. This isn't something that a farmer's going to go in the field and do hundreds of hours on or thousands of hours on in a year. But it is more economically built than I would say than they used to be. You know, 3-point linkage for the lever and all that kind of stuff. Actually, that's not that at all. I'm gonna have to find out what that is. This is the position control for the hitch, and I'm gonna find out what you are. Anyway, so moving right along, we've got our valve here for the hitch, and this is where I'm going to be mounting. I did buy the second and third hydraulic functions for the back. I'm going to have a nice little snowblower, and I have a little bit of goop there. Interesting. So that's probably just shipping or assembling or something like that. There's nothing to be leaked around there. Not a big deal. No worries. So we saw a filter on the other side. We got ourselves another filter right here. You can never have too many filters on a tractor, so no complaints on that. Very good. All right, let's have a look underneath the old hood there. Lift up the skirt a bit, see what's going on. Okay, so this being a solar venture, I'm switching between the selfie stick GoPro holder thingy and my chest mount camera thingy. So bear with me if the angles change quite a bit. I am new to this. So this looks really good. I mean, I've looked under the hood of many tractors, and this looks amazing actually. It looks really clean, well put together. Always been a big fan of the Kubota engine. Really nice, really well put together, really well built. Never any problems with them. So starting from the front, I'll take the panels off and do a whole strip down. I have to take the ROPS piece off first though. So battery. This is one of the reasons I went with the B instead of the BX. There's a couple of different reasons. I mean, obviously you pay more, you get more. BX seems to be an amazingly good tractor. Not a problem. I don't think that it'll be a big deal. But the BX engine configuration is a bit odd for me, being that the flywheel's at the front and they run all the tractor from the shaft coming out of the harmonic balancer, which is a bit strange. On this tractor, you've got more of a normal tractor setup. So the BX basically takes an engine and flips it around. So you have the radiator out here in the front, and you have your air intake out here. Interesting way of doing it. I don't think it's a bad way of doing it. It's probably more economical to do it that way. So putting the radiator up front, what it'll do, sucks the air out through in through this guy. We got a beautiful little screen out. Clean me every now and then. When you're working in the high pollen or grass or stuff like that, you need to clean that to make sure that she doesn't get too hot. Battery all the way up front. Now Kubota used to ship their batteries dry. Apparently that's been changed. Apparently this guy has got acid, so you just put the negative battery post on there and you're good to go. A little bit of a charge, of course. And then one thing, I don't know if I like it or I don't like it. I think the BX, the exhaust comes out a bit higher. This guy got the exhaust up here, sneaking down all the way down, and there she goes. So if you remember back in the day, people used to be proud of their exhausts. I mean, it used to be on the side, big tall stack on the hood. People would get them chromed. People would get them all fancied up, painted. As soon as you had a bit of rust on an exhaust, it was kind of an anti-religious thing. You had to scrape that down and get it all nice and shiny. And over the last couple of years, I don't know if this has to do with the environmental freaks or something like that, but we hide the exhaust. So, you know, an internal combustion engine's not allowed to have an exhaust anymore. So, you know, it's kind of like hiding the toilet in your house. Stuff goes in, stuff goes out. It's needed, it has to go. That's the way nature runs. But anyway, this is what we're dealing with. Exhaust goes down, goes to the front right here. Not an engineering problem. Probably will make the loader more dirtier in the front when you're doing work and all that kind of stuff. So that might be, I don't know, a small issue, but no big deal. This is nice to see. Kubota used to ship them always low on all the fluids, and now they've got the proper fluid level on there. Very nice.